Hello everyone and welcome to the Lightbulb Star YouTube channel. Today I thought I could share my reasoning behind the new Lightbulb Star rebrand and also some tips on what I've learnt throughout 5 years of business. Firstly, I never thought I would ever own a business. Ever. I didn't even know Lightroom editing was a job when I came out of school, and it just seems crazy that this is now my job. I never even knew that this kind of thing existed. My first job when I left school, I had never had a job before school. I never had a job during school, so my first job was when I left school, and it was so scary and just being thrust out into the world and not having anything handed to you. So I had to go out there, really put myself out there and find a job, and the only one I could find or that would accept me was this dirty little petrol station garage near where I lived. And it was a job, you know, they paid me. It wasn't the best. You know, waking up at 4 in the morning and cycling in the cold and the rain and the dark, just it wasn't what I imagined myself doing for the rest of my life. So yes, that was my first job, and whilst I was there, I think a few months later after I started, maybe 4 or 5, 6 months after, I saw an application to be a photography assistant, and I applied and I got the job, and it was so lovely. I loved being a photography assistant so much. We went to so many weddings, so many family shoots and engagement shoots, and lots of business and brand. It was just such a varied job, and I loved it so much, and I got to learn so much from the photographer, and it was just so much fun. I loved it. And from there, that's stemmed into what I do now, because I edited for that photographer, and it was exclusively to that photographer at that time because I was working for them. But now I also still edit for that photographer through Lightbulb Star, but I also edit for so many other wonderful and creative and just amazing photographers in lots of different fields, and I'm so grateful that they have let me come into their little world, their little photography world, and let me edit their images. So moving on to the Lightbulb Star rebrand. My decision for a rebrand for Lightbulb Star was, firstly, I think the first iteration of Lightbulb Star, I had no idea what I wanted it to be. I was just really lost with the purpose, and I had a wonderful brand designer come in, Amy from Sansuchi Creative, and what she did was brilliant. It looked amazing, but it just didn't feel like Lightbulb Star, and that was because that was my fault, because I didn't know what I wanted Lightbulb Star to be. That translated into the branding, and no matter how amazing it was, because it was amazing, it just didn't feel like Lightbulb Star because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know where I wanted the brand to go. I didn't know what kind of clients I wanted to attract. You know, in the first iteration of Lightbulb Star, I wanted to sell products like enamel pins and postcards. So I was really just lost with the path that I wanted it to go on. So for this second iteration of Lightbulb Star, I decided that I wanted to do the branding for it. Firstly, because, you know, COVID and quarantine, my work relies on photographers being able to do their work, and obviously during COVID, not a lot could happen. No one could really go out and shoot. Weddings were cancelled. All of these events and things were cancelled, and then that in turn affected my clients' work, which in turn affected my work. So it was a big chain reaction of people just not being able to work and do their jobs. So like a lot of people, money was very tight, and as much as I would have loved to have a brand designer come in, it just wasn't something that I could budget for at the time. So I decided to do it myself, and I think I did a pretty good job. I did the branding for KC Freelancing, which was my previous freelancing excursion, and you know, I made the website, it looked nice, and I had a lot of fun, and it was nice to come back to that. I really enjoyed making this new version of Lightbulb Star that has direction and purpose. So now a little bit about what 5 things that I have learned during my 5 years of business. 5 things? Might be more than 5 things. We'll see. Firstly, you can say no to things. I have taken on a lot of work because I didn't want to turn anyone down, and there was a point where I felt like I couldn't turn people down because, you know, it would have been money lost, and at the time I probably couldn't afford to turn down work. I didn't have that luxury, but I feel like now in the business I do, and it's really nice to have. You can turn people down if you want to, if their work doesn't really fit your kind of ethics or your values, or if you just have too much work yourself at the moment and you can't commit to extra work. It's completely fine to say no. Secondly, honesty and communication is key. It's so important to have good communication with your clients and to be honest with them. You know, if you have a deadline or if they propose a deadline and you know you can't finish the work on that deadline, then just tell them, be honest. It's good to be just upfront and straight with them. It will only lead you to dig bigger and bigger holes, and trust me, I've learnt this the hard way. It will only lead you to dig bigger holes, and then you'll have to be like, right, now I look like a twat, I'm just gonna have to tell you the truth. Because just tell the truth from the beginning. It will save you a lot of hassle down the road. Thirdly, you are going to get things wrong. I've gotten so many things wrong. Tax returns, they don't teach you that in school, so that was something I had learned to do and have got mistakes on. There were also so many other things. For example, I learnt that it is so good to have a business bank account. Do not just have one pot that all of your personal expenses and business expenses sit in. I personally think that this is the most important one, and that is to make time for yourself. I can remember, like, back in like kind of the first 1 to 2 years of my business, I would work for like months and months and months and months and months on end, and then I'd be so burnt out after, and I'd be like, oh, when was like the last time I had a week off? And it probably would have been like a year ago. So even if it's like an hour or 2, or maybe just an evening to yourself, please make sure that you make time for yourself. And lastly, budget everything and save. If these past few years have taught us anything, is that anything can happen. We don't know when a situation like COVID could happen again, and my savings came in so handy for that, because I wasn't getting work for about 2 or 3 months during the first kind of stages of COVID, maybe even longer. And then it took quite a long time to kind of recover from that, as you know, as work started to come in. My savings came in really handy in that moment, and we just don't know when something like that will happen again. And you know, you may go through quiet periods of your business. I know winter is very quiet for me, so I like to really save in the summer so it can see me through the winter. Budgeting also really helps. If you pay yourself out of your business kind of money, make sure that it's a reasonable amount. And also, I mentioned before, please make sure you have a business account. I seemed so stupid when I had everything in one pot, because like I was like, ooh, I have £1,000, but that £1,000, probably most of it was business money and not actually my money. So that's a great tip there. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And I also hope that you're really enjoying my quick editing tips and the Edit With Me Wednesday videos. I hope that you find them really helpful and enjoyable and informative. And please make sure you subscribe and follow me on any of my other social media channels. So that's it from me today. I'll see you very soon.